They are.
Yeah, they're out there. They just, if you don't watch it live, they're off for a period of time and then tomorrow they show back up. I don't know exactly why, but it goes off for. Okay, thank you. Call the August 5th meeting to order. Would you stand for the flag? Pledge allegiance to the flag of
the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Normally we do a memoriam at the end of our meeting, but we have an executive session tonight. So I would like to, tonight we will convene the meeting in memory of Robert Bobby Berenger, former town worker at the transfer station. Also Anthony Tony Percoco, and B has reminded me that today is the 11th anniversary of Francis Gray, former councilman's death. And there were another name you wanted to add, B.
Shelley Dio Mertens. She passed. She had worked for the Ulster County Department of Health. Noreen Dishon just recently passed. She's the wife of Justice Charles Dishon. And Libby Gordon, who ran a house for ARC for probably 30 years.
Thank you very much. And as always, we hold all suffering from the COVID virus in our thoughts. So I would just ask that we hold these people in our memory tonight. Mary Lou, attorney for the town report.
I emailed you my one change for the cell tower lease items. And also long ago and far away, I had put in for a judgment in Supreme Court, or I'm sorry, in county court. We never heard anything. That's when county court was by mail and everything else was through the internet. I realized they never cashed my check for that application, so I'm just going to resubmit it. Okay. I haven't been able to talk to anybody who knows, and maybe that's why. Maybe that was back when the mail was really bad. So maybe it's still floating around in Idaho. I don't know. And that is it.
Okay. Kate, town clerk or tax collector report.
I have received a resignation for James Murphy, town constable. DEC licenses are now on sale, so dope permits are now available for anyone interested. And I do want to talk a little bit about Heritage Day, but I don't know if it'd be more appropriate to talk about it when we talk about the
I always
resolution.
say that during the resolution.
So that's it.
Okay. Kate, I apologize. I neglected to do the roll call.
Yeah, I saw that. Councilwoman Allen,
Here.
Councilman Hagen DePew,
Here,
Councilman Hewitt is absent, Councilman Paddock, absent, Supervisor Reed.
Here. Councilman Paddock said he was coming from his job, so he would be a little bit late tonight. Jeff, Highway Superintendent report, and first, thank you to you and crew for all the work you guys have done on the roads. If you haven't driven Queens Highway or DeWitt Road, or there's several others that his crew has done an amazing job on this year.
Yes, the guys deserve the thank you. I just direct the work. They actually do it, so they deserve all the thank you. And the only other thing I really have is we're slated to pave the courthouse parking lot the week of August 23rd.
23rd.
Yeah,
Okay.
the week of that. Yeah.
Great.
We're gonna do some fiber mat with Gorman Brothers, and then we're gonna do the courthouse parking lot that same week.
Great. Thank you.
Yep.
Also, this is not our highway, this is Sampsonville Road, but Jeff informed me today Some people may have seen the markings. It was slated to be oil and chips, resurface over the top of where they paved last year. They have now changed and it will be paved. They have decided for some reason that the oil and chip was not the appropriate resurface, so they're going to put another inch
Inch and a half.
and a half on top of that. So I just called that out because originally we were telling people when they called and asked why the marks were on the road that it was going to be oil and chip. So it has been changed. The supervisor's report is filed with the town clerk. I apologize to the board members. I have a copy for you, which is sitting on my desk over at the other. I will get that to you in the next couple days, or I can email it to all of you as well. We are in very good shape. We have taken in more than half of our expected money and spent less than half of our expected money. So at the end of July, that's a good place to be. The revenues for 2021, for July, we took in $77,534.69 in the general fund. The highway fund is $439,654.63. There were two very large revenue lines in there that we got our quarterly chips refunding for work we've done on the roads of $184,268.10. And Jeff and Tina will be putting together the next one, which we will get the check in December. And that will probably be what, another 200?
Probably close to 300.
Close to 300. So thank you, Jeff, for making sure we're using every penny of the reimbursement money that we can claim. We also took out $150,000 ban to pay for the Millhook Road Bridge, which was completed by Baker Brothers, and that will be paid off over a 2 or 3 year period. We'll have to decide budget time if we want to pay it in 2 or 3 at a 0.75% interest rate, so a very nominal interest rate. And expenditures with abstract 7 in the general fund, $143,970.54. Highway fund is $586,193.87. Again, the reason being is about 300,000 of that was for the chips and about 150 was for the bridge. $418.55 for street lighting. Escrow fund is $2,020. The total expenditures, I decided to start adding this. This includes all our payroll and all expenditures, not just our vouchers. It's $197,250.36 for the general fund. For the highway fund, $651,053.95. The street lighting fund, $418.55, and the escrow fund, $2,020. The budget modifications, I had hoped to have them prepared this evening. I will be bringing them next week to our meeting to ask you to approve them next week. Monthly correspondence, we got a very nice check in the mail yesterday from our mortgage tax for the period, the 6-month period of October 2020 through the end of March. It's a little bit later than it normally comes, but it was in the amount of $229,902.48, which is about 80% of our yearly budgeted revenue for that line. So if the next check comes in similar, we will have more revenue than we anticipated on mortgage tax. Some other correspondence is included in your packet. We did have a notice served on a violation notice that Mr. Davis brought to our attention. It was served by the town constable, and I will circulate a copy of it to you by email. The due date to fix the problems is August 12th. If it is not rectified by then, we will be conferring with Mary Lou about revoking the permit. This is for a manufactured housing park permit. And that's it really for correspondence this month. COVID-19 report. As of this morning, when I looked, there were 7 cases in the town of Rochester, up from the 1 that we were at several weeks ago. The county is in the neighborhood of about 160. I believe it was 157 as of this morning. That's up from the 14 that we were at previously. So it is, we are definitely in a resurgence. The county has initiated mask requirements in the county buildings for, I believe, for anybody who's not vaccinated, or is it for all people? Do you know, Kate?
I think it's for all, and I know it's town of Marbletown just did the same thing.
Okay. We will consider, we'll monitor the guidelines and consider what we have to do on that. Ban updates, I've already told you about the 2 bans. We have another highway ban of $110,000 that comes due in September. I have arranged to roll that over again with the Bank of Greene County that we've been utilizing. It will be at a 0.75%, paying off $70,000 and rolling over 40. That will then pay off next year. Considerable change in the interest rate from the 3.6, I believe we were paying last year. So significant change there. The American Rescue Plan, I have had some conversations with the county planning director. He has informed me that there is federal broadband money that is being dispersed to the county. So he's gonna stay in touch with me when he gets more information. As you remember, we talked about utilizing some or a major portion of it to investigate broadband. If the county money comes through, the county may be doing a plan of their own to cover the last mile. And he recommended that we monitor that for the moment. I did say that obviously with a 2.5-year requirement of spending it to get plans in place takes a while. Spectrum continues to be difficult, if not impossible, to get in touch with. The person that I was dealing with no longer works for them. The person whose name and email I was given to replace them has not responded now to 5 emails. So I don't have a number for that person.
Mike, can we explain the rescue plan, the American
Sure.
Rescue Plan? Because
Every municipality in the United States under the American Rescue Plan received funding. Every municipality, every county, every city, every town, every village received money. The town of Rochester is based on population. The town of Rochester, the towns and villages and any municipality under a certain population level received it from the state. We have received, we have earmarked for us approximately 660,000. I don't have the exact number, my apologies. We received the first half of the payment, but it is a very detailed rule book, for lack of a better way to put it, of how it can be spent, what it can be spent on. We actually received that after we got the money. So we are working toward plans of how to best spend that money for the town of Rochester residents. one of the ideas we are working on, many of our, we estimate about 30% of our properties do not have access to broadband. And it's what's known in the business as the last mile gaps. It's where a line will come in from one side of a road and another side of the road, and the people in the middle, because there's not enough homes there, or for whatever reason, maybe the signal strength is not strong enough that they can add more. And if they try to do it themselves, Spectrum has been known to come back with prices of $30,000 and $40,000 for one hookup. We are discussing utilizing a portion of that money to get as many people hooked up, ability to hook up to broadband, to get them connected. Another idea we are working toward, as you know, we started YouTube streaming our meetings during the pandemic when we were holding them by Zoom. We continue, but our technology is not the best in the world. We're working with a borrowed camera right now. We're still experimenting. We may invest in some better technology so we can broadcast all our meetings in a more professional way, so our residents can stay at home, watch the meetings, know what's going on. We did find that we have hundreds of views during the pandemic, and I expect it would probably continue. This is a great turnout tonight, but as Kate said earlier, on most meetings, we're lucky to have 5 or 6 people here. So we want to try to be more accessible to the public. So that is another idea we're thinking about. There are other things that can be done with the money. Is there can be small business incentives and loans. We haven't totally looked into how that's done yet. And the county is looking into that. So it might be, that may be a more suitable thing to go through the county, because they can certainly, the county got, I believe it's $34 million as opposed to our 600,660. So that's what the American Rescue Plan is. It's still very much in its infancy stage. As I said, the money showed up about a week ago. The rule book showed up within the past 10 days, I'd say. So the New York Rising Algerville Firehouse update. Anybody who's driven by has seen that the front part of the building, the old bay, has been mostly removed. The plan, for people who are not aware, is a larger bay will be built on the front side of it. The town of Rochester acquired Creek Road. We discovered in the process, everybody thought it was a town road. We discovered it was still a county road. The county had intended to transfer it to the town of Rochester back in the 50s when they moved the bridge, and never did. So we've acquired the roadway. We are in the process of moving a piece. We will keep the road bed section with a 50-foot wide easement. We are going to deed over to the fire district a piece of that, because the front part of their parking lot is actually on the mapped roadbed. What will go in there is a larger apparatus bay, which will allow them to put a full size pieces of equipment in there. The apparatus currently is, the space is not large enough to hold a standard size fire engine, and I'm told they have to, at great cost, buy smaller apparatus to put in there. So they will be able to put, they're also, it will be turned into a emergency shelter, much as this room was turned into. In the case of an emergency, people would be able to go there from the Algerville area. When we took the walls down in the old schoolhouse section, it was discovered that the brick behind was in very, very good shape, much better than was expected. So originally, new wallboard was going to go in. It looks now that we will maintain the brick in the interior of that room, which is very exciting. We have some great documented photos of the building, and nobody even knew when we took the new section of the firehouse that was built in, was that like the 60s, we think, or late 50s, or not the firehouse, but the bay. I think it was in the 50s or
Probably,
60s
they were
it was built.
established.
Behind it was an inlaid logo for the schoolhouse that nobody knew existed. Sadly, it will be covered up by the new building, but it will still be able to be I'm trying to work it away so when you're in the building, at least it can be visible. We're trying to, nobody had any idea it was there. It had been covered up since that building was built, 70 some years, so. But everything is being documented, and the photos are being maintained by the Historic Preservation Commission, and we will make sure they're all transferred to Kate, our town historian. The local government records management grant, we received a $61,000 grant that we had applied for in 2020 to digitize all our building department records, 50 plus years worth of building department records that are all paper and have been filed since the beginning by applicant's last name. And you can imagine in trying to search, not knowing addresses and SBL numbers, how difficult that can be. What this will do by digitizing them is it will make them accessible to our building and code enforcement staff. They'll be able to search the records in many different formats electronically. What it does mean, though, is we will be without those records for about a 4 to 6 month period of time. They're going to take half and then the second half. So we tonight in our resolutions, we will be approving additional work by our staff there to prepare those records, and they will work diligently with Kate to go through, and any records in there that don't need to be retained will be shredded, and anything we're not going to spend the money to scan things that don't need to be retained. So everything will be gone through. We will make an inventory of everything that is boxed and sent away. They will be digitized and then be returned to us. So, really a great project and a great grant. We had to apply twice. The first time we applied in 2019, we didn't get it. We tried again. We made great upgrades. Kate and I met with the New York State records management people. Figured out where we failed in our first. These are really competitive grants, so to get a grant like that is pretty great accomplishment. And I can't thank Kate and the building department staff enough for all their work on helping put that together. It was truly a team effort. Summer youth program, we're starting our second session of 2 3-week sessions. The first was a great success. The second ended up not being completely full, but we are only down, I believe, 2 or 3 people from what we had anticipated. The good news is, at least for the short term, we are able to transition to single bus. We were having to follow the rules of separation, even for the youth who were masked on the first session. So we were running double buses. We're able to run a single bus, which will do some cost savings for us. Ashley Sweeney, our rec director, and Bethany Denon, her assistant, have done a great job in scheduling visits to state parks and other state properties. Every time we go to them, we're able to apply for reimbursement for our transportation through a state program. She also secured a donation from the Rondo Valley Teachers Federation for a trip to Herd's Farm. That was an educational day of learning about the farm. And so we were reimbursed for the cost of attending. So she's done a really great job of putting it together. managing the costs, and we're able to give a really great program with 3 field trips a week to everybody at a pretty reasonable price. It's, do you remember what it is per day?
Oh, it's 135.
$135 a week.
Yeah.
So $135 a week for 5 days a week.
That's what it's 135.
And it's the Monday and Friday are 6 hours, and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are 7 to 8 hours. So pretty good return for what we're able to provide. That's all I have. So liaison reports, B.
With the court, they did have court nights each Wednesday in July. It's my understanding that they have started taking some owner-tenant disputes, perhaps monies that were due during the rental, during COVID, where rents did not have to be paid. They have opened some of that up. The new clerk is learning, but she's learning slowly. She's going through her learning curve, and all is going well with her.
Great. Thank you very much. And Justice Laflamme did indicate to me, I haven't followed back up with her, she was going to be working toward putting together a grant application under the DCJS or the JCAP,
Jake.
Justice Court. What's the A? I don't know. Administration. I'm not sure what the A stands for. Anyway, that is due in October. So she's going to look into putting that together. The bathrooms there need some significant work, probably more than we would be able to secure from JCAP, because I think the maximum is 30,000. But we need a pretty serious overhaul of those bathrooms. Erin?
Well, I have a short report because I'm my busy work season. But we do have 2 new faces at the transfer station that started this week. So that's exciting to be fully staffed
Yes.
there. But that's about it.
Okay.
There you go. Constabulary report, court is mostly open. The constabulary answered 23 direct calls for service and other duties in July, 11 neighbor to neighbor, 7 resident traffic complaints, mostly on Cherrytown, Sampsonville, Towpath, and Whitfield. 1 environmental complaint on Rochester Center, 9 building department violations, 2 new court cases were opened, 20 court proceedings remain open, and 2 court proceedings were closed. Under interesting occurrences, it's been a busy month. During the month, traffic and parking condition complaints from residents have increased significantly. Several roads in the town have been substantially increased in traffic volume, including large trucks and buses. We continue to be responsive to these complaints and have been able to keep the traffic flowing for the most part. Of particular interest is the Cherrytown Road corridor around the Camp Rob Toff. Constable Miller and Supervisor Baden have been in near constant communication with their management. They've made significant progress in alleviating many of the conditions. While the traffic volume and intrusions on residents' properties and driveways is not completely solved, the constabulary continues to work on the issue. Having presence on the road in the high traffic and volume areas in response to residents' complaint has really been the key. Again, trespasses on residents' property in many areas of the town are rising again. Complaints regarding garbage being dumped on residents' properties, vacant lands, and on several roads have increased again. Neighbor to neighbor complaints have increased again during the beginning part of the month, mainly due to the July 4th holiday weekend, having fireworks and large parties. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the constabulary continues to have limited direct contact with complainants with proportional increase in direct phone calls. So that's the constabulary. And then just a additional note, we have received our playground equipment is in, but it looks like we're going to have to secure volunteers to get it in the ground. We've been reaching out to several residents who have experience in it, but many hands make light work. So as we put that together for September, we'll be asking for some community support.
Yeah, we're going to wait till the recreation program is done, so we don't interrupt their use of the town park. So come September, we will be installing the new playground equipment.
And that's everything.
Great, thank you very much. Assessors, our assessor is retiring. Mr. Dunham has announced his retirement, very well deserved after 30 years of being an assessor. He will be retiring the end of August. The town has been holding interviews with several candidates, exploring the idea of whether we continue doing a shared assessor with Marbletown and Rosendale, or whether we move to our own assessor. And I neglected in my supervisor's update, I skipped over the 2022 budget. Just for the board members, it's that time of year. I will be in the month of August, sometime in the next couple of weeks, sending out requests to all the department heads to prepare their budget requests. With those coming back probably the week after Labor Day to me, I'll ask them to have it back. I will then work toward preparing the tentative 2022 budget, which will be filed with the town clerk on September 30th, which happens to be a Wednesday. So beginning October 1st, I would say plan on, as usual, every Thursday, we will meet as a board to go through. I think it's been really successful the way we've worked through it. I think we end up with a good product at the end. So I am going to ask Councilman Paddock, with his vast HR experience, to work with me. We've discussed having a rate of pay policy. The town used to have one back in the late 90s, early 2000s, maybe even toward the mid 2000s. That was kind of abandoned at that time and has never really been picked back up again. We've been starting new employees at similar rates, and but I think for us to have a specific guideline, for lack of a better word, and that way we will have a policy of, for this type of position, this will be the starting rate, and then with these potential increases. So I'm going to ask Councilman Paddock to assist me in putting that together, and I'm going to prepare that as part of our budget presentation this year, utilizing that information toward next year's budget. So I did give Adam a little bit of fair warning. I gave him a phone call today and told him I was going to ask him to this.
I didn't find out at the meeting. I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, before anybody thinks
Yeah.
I just pulled him into that.
Happy to help. Though.
It's been hours.
Planning board remains busy. They have on average 7, 8, 9 or more applications a month. And based on the application fees for the month of July, I'm anticipating it's going to continue to be a lengthy, be long meetings and a lot of applications. Any board members have any issues they would like to bring up?
Well, I know that management was contacted at Rovtov and they did place the number, I believe it's 3050.
Yep.
So that the big straight trucks could see the numbers better.
Yep.
And signage was put in place. And also, just so that everyone here is aware, it is possible that the Grand Rebbe may visit during
Actually,
the
I
month
can-
of August.
I can add to that. It is not only just possible, it is likely that he will be attending. The rabbi has already informed us of a time frame of what that will be. The signage came back. They installed the sign. We also installed the sign along the town roadway a little further down. It has helped. The rabbi has been in very good text communication to let me know when parents are coming to visit, when there are new arrivals. It has been better. It is not perfect by any means, but it has been better. The sign, when we have awareness, I'm able to make the constables aware. We have our coverage up there. So it's when we're surprised and don't know what's going on that it's a problem. So regarding the speaker system, they are working toward it. When, as many of you know, when I live close by, when I hear it, I immediately text him and let him know. It has been working to some degree. Admittedly, I am not at my house 24/7, so I can't say that I'm always successful, but it has been working. There are still intrusions, but overall, for the general summer, I think it's been a less impact than in previous years. We continue to try to solve it. And Depot seems to be nowhere near as attended as last year.
There's still parking in the road.
Agreed. Agreed they are, and we are monitoring it. We are going by. We send constables. Short of having somebody there 24/7, there's no way you can monitor it every minute of every day. The numbers are better. The trash is somewhat better. It's not 100% better. The bottom line is it's private property. We can't stop people from going there and swimming there. We can stop them from parking there, which is what we've done with the no parking signs. And the people that go there on a regular basis seem to be helping us police it themselves. They tell each other, I've watched them tell somebody who parks badly, move your car off the road more. So it's not a perfect solution. There really is no perfect solution. As long as the owners of the property will continue to allow people to swim there, there's not much we can do to resolve it. So,
Mike, can we share the dates that the Grand Rebbe will be there?
I don't have them in front of me.
Okay,
So,
but I think the people living on Cherrytown would want to know that
yes,
so that they can do what they need to do before the whole caravan comes through.
agreed. Agreed. But we do have the dates. And I was told that the state police will be.
They do,
involved.
they do.
Yeah, so that will certainly alleviate some of the concerns. And the camp will be closing, I am told, on the 17th of August, which is about a week earlier than normal.
That is a,
So I'm not sure what day of the week that is. but- Okay, public comment. Anybody who would like to speak, if you would just raise your hand, we'll recognize you. Just a public comment is not a question and answer session. It's public comment. We're here to listen to you. So we'll start off. Ms. Avery.
Are you aware that AT&T is running cable lines, phone lines, and internet through Sampsonville Road?
I was not. I will
I
look
got
into
a
it.
phone call a week ago offering a heck of a good rate compared to Spectrum rates for a year. It's like $120 less than I'm paying now for the same thing I have from Spectrum.
Okay, we will look into it. Thank you very much
It's
for that information.
AT&T.
Okay, thank you.
Sounded good to me.
Mr. Kilpert?
Yeah, on Sunday, I passed by Depot and there was a fire going on, so we lit a fire under the canopy. And so I was able to stop into Accord Fire Station. There was a cleaning staff there and I alerted her and she said she would contact a volunteer. Later in the day at 5 o'clock when I passed, it was still smoldering. So, I mean, this is a big concern.
Understood. Yeah, oh, Maren, sorry. All I saw was the hand. I couldn't see the head.
I'm little back here. All right, my favorite town board, we're done. I have a letter and I have gifts for everybody. So for Kate, town clerk, Mike Baden, supervisor in the town board, regarding the review of chapters 140 and 125. Dear Supervisor Baden, town board members, and Ms. Lindbergh. In February of 2020, the town board established and appointed an ad hoc Town of Rochester Comprehensive Plan and Land Use Code Review Committee, the ZRC, comprised of 10 members, 5 from the community and 5 from the government/appointed town boards. We are happy to say that a year and a half and thousands of man hours later, we have completed our review of the Town of Rochester Chapter 140 zoning and 125 subdivisions of plans. Our suggested changes, additions, deletions are just that, suggestions. It is the purview of you, the elected town board officials, to decide what to adopt, what to change, and what not to adopt. In our work, the ZRC incorporated all suggested changes of the previous 2017 zoning review committee. We worked diligently to ensure that all our suggestions were aligned with the town's comprehensive plan goals. And we assured that our suggestion worked to strengthen the comprehensive plan goals through zoning and subdivision regulation. And we cross-checked to the best of our abilities that all suggestions were aligned with Ulster County, state, federal land use best practices. We thank you for your serious consideration and timely addition of these changes to our existing zoning code. There's a lot of information to digest, so we would be honored if we could schedule for the next workshop meeting a presentation from, we have team members here, a presentation from the team for the town board, sort of a highlights and lowlights of what we went through. Thank you very much, the members of the committee. And may I approach them?
Yes, please. There actually, I'm just looking, counting heads. I believe there's 6 members of the 10 members of the committee here tonight. So I just want to express a very, very big thank you for all the hours. And I can say I know how many hours because I was at the majority of them, if not all. Was not at all of them, but I was at a lot of them.
So the first you have are, these are, as you know, are proposed potential different zoning areas. We have the protected land 10 acre. We have agricultural 10 acre. And then we have everything combined. One great big beautiful. Ta-da.
And I see an awful lot of Mr. Coleman's work in that mapping. So thank you,
Yeah,
Michael.
completely. Then, as the other gifts we have for everybody. Mr. Baden, you get a copy, this will also come electronically. This is the schedule of district regulations. This is the zoning code marked up, bound, physical, and also the subdivision code in all kinds of pretty colors.
Yep, I
Marked up.
remember all those colors.
And we have the same thing for everybody. In the very front also, there's a glossary of everything. These loose papers here is a glossary of everything that I could remember that we consulted in doing the entire thing. So it isn't as if this was out of, the Rural Design by Randall Arnett, Small Town Design 2015, the American Farmland Trust Andover Survey 2020, yada, yada, yada. So you have 4 pages. That's yours, ma'am.
Midnight.
This is a great doorstop, great for sleeping,
Something for the beach.
great if you want everybody to not be near you at the beach.
Yeah.
2,
Thank you.
You give Chris's,
yeah, there's Chris's.
Chris is home ill tonight. He's feeling well.
There's yours, Kate.
Thank you kindly.
There's Chris's.
Those additional pages, Martin, was that the schedule that you were talking about, or was there 4 additional pages?
No, the schedule is the big smushed one here.
Yeah. Oh, the 4 pages I see are stuck.
The
I
4
got it.
pages in the front are exactly,
Got
are just stuck in there as. Missing. I might
the-
have,
For the public's information, we were not expecting this tonight, so my apologies that it's a little disjointed,
MLC,
but we thank the committee for all their work.
and I will follow up with electronic to
Great.
everybody. So I don't know if you could do a resolution or something like that at some point. Getting us on the workshop.
No, we can just schedule you at that meeting. Not a problem. We will gladly do that. You have an approximate amount of time that you would think it would take?
Aaron and Michael, you're sort of our key on presentation.
30?
Yeah, we're 30 tops.
Okay.
30 tops, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Dawson and I have been responsible for, take that slide out.
Yeah.
Making sure.
Got it.
I did that.
You did.
For the members of the public, the committee, Maren Lindstrom from the planning board was elected by the members of the committee, the chair. And in no particular order, Michael Coleman, who is here today, who is works in the mapping and GIS business and was a great asset to this project. Jack Dawson, because we're not paying you for this. So, Rob Kilpert, Aaron and Alan, myself, and also Madeline Russo from the Environmental Conservation Commission, Wilton Duckworth from the Historic Preservation Commission, Heather Gabriel, thank you. Resident and
The code enforcement officer.
and the code enforcement office staff was involved, so.
I
those-
mean, also for the printing, since we're so over budget, if there's anywhere in the budget, I do have a bill that I'd love to give you guys, if you can
Please do,
spring.
please do. We will find it somewhere.
That will give you the- you need it
We just
more.
can't pay you back tax.
That's okay. Any part of it.
We might even be, if it's Staples, yeah, we might even be able to get it reimbursed, but. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry, back to public comment. Yes,
This is some more reading material. It's noise ordinances from the town of Warwick, the village of Ellenville, and the town of Lloyd. And I think Rochester needs a noise ordinance. Texting the rabbi. After a while, this is the rule, obey the rule. I live not too far from the camp, and I don't want to listen to the shrill voice coming over a loudspeaker. It's really annoying. And it makes your life miserable, the quality of life for 2 months a year.
I don't think it concerns just the
let's,
camps.
he's still speaking, so let's
No,
let him
I'm-
continue.
Finished, but
Okay,
copies of 3 for everybody,
okay,
and enjoy the reading.
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Let me just see if there's anybody else, Ms. Avery, and then we'll come back to you. Thank you. Ms. Vendelius.
Thank you. I have several comments pertaining to tonight's agenda. B already mentioned Francis Gray. I too was concerned when I didn't see his name in memory of. He was on the town board way back when Pam Duke was supervisor. And he was a fine representative of the community. Number 2, I believe the town board agenda should be posted on the Town of Rochester website sooner than late afternoon, the day before the town board regular monthly meeting. It should also be posted in the town website in latest news Just like the special meeting today at 5:30 was posted many days before the actual meeting. As I look at the town website, I am concerned seeing in the upper left, not secure. Also, a cookie notice pops up. Does this really help the community, or is it just there to spy on the community seeking information? What is the group hired at taxpayer dollars, I believe something like $2,000 a month, to care for the town's computer system? What are they doing? It seems like a lot of our tax dollars are going to waste on that one. 3, it's about time this town will seriously study to lower the speed limit on Lucas Turnpike. Back in the early 1970s, Nancy Sack, a tenant at 2732 Lucas Turnpike, circulated a petition to lower the speed limit. Nothing happened. Years later, I believe the neighbor circulated another petition after someone was killed at the Lucas Turnpike and Route 6 intersection. Then when Terry Bernardo was the county legislator, she was able to get the speed limit reduced on the Kaiserreich Road, the school bus route, down from 55. And I guess they're probably going to be working on it again. The 4-way stop on the Lucas and Route 6 intersection greatly helped. However, it is amazing to see so many drivers ignoring the stop signs. I'm in full support to lower the speed limit on Lucas. I believe that 45 miles per hour would be an appropriate speed. And the traffic sign, I don't know if anybody has seen it, on Lucas, just after getting off of 209, which ends the 45-mile-an-hour speed limit. I think it seems to be most challenging for drivers. And we do have a lot of cars on Lucas these days, tremendous growth in traffic. So I think a lower speed limit would be very good. Then my final comment refers to the executive sessions. Recently, there have been several references to the proposed acquisition, sale, or lease of real properties. Supervisor Baden, isn't it time for some transparency? The community has yet to hear about the constable study that was done a couple years ago. And the people within the heritage area have not received letters as stated. Community members need to know how their lives will be affected by your undercover plans. Thank you.
Anybody else wish to speak? Yes, Manuel.
It's about the notice for the fire inspection.
Yes.
The fire inspection notice we received at the end of May made us question if the status of our residential commercial building is correctly recorded in town's documents. And we discovered lack of communication between the planning board and the CEO's office. And the first point is the fire inspection fee. For those not familiar, I mean, we sent a letter to the town board. I don't know if you considered it yet. I hope we don't get a violation before the time you decide. Asking for our previous fee, which was $50 every 2 years, to be grandfathered in. The present fee is $125, so that's per year. That's 5 times larger. During the time of the pandemic, when we didn't make a penny, we didn't open the store, we've been basically residential. So regarding the fire inspection fee, we discovered the lack of criteria and the proper interpretation of the town board's decision. the key decision and the key words are from the minutes of the organizational meeting on January 4th, when you said that the building establishment is meant, the key word is meant for public, the fee should be imposed and the frequency of the inspection should be done according to the building being meant for public assembly for less than 50 persons. It's meant to be. Our store, which is our residence for more than 10 years, never had more than 6 people inside, never. Now, nobody. When talking repeatedly, talking to the people in the CEO's office, I realized they were dividing the size of the entire building by 15 and telling us that we have to pay 125 and have the frequency 1 year because we are allowed to have 160 people. This sounded so absurd. And then also from the discussion, only when I talked to Jerry Davis, I realized he was the only one aware that we are residential and commercial. Okay, so another disturbing fact was the arrogance of a certain town employee who told me that if we don't like the 125 notice, they are going to send us one for $200. I was involved for many years. I've never heard such an arrogant reply, really disturbing. The second point, so for the fire inspection fee. So we went back, we had to discover and clarify what the situation. We had to foil, and we did foil, and Kate Grunberg is more than prompt in providing everything we need. But the minutes of the planning board from December 21, 2010, when we asked and we have been approved for mixed use, it was a special use permit for a mixed use. So those minutes are not online. The minutes also include this decision. When we read the decision, we realized, okay, the decision, which I have a copy, I didn't have at the time I sent the letter. The decision clearly indicates that the layout, you were, Mr. Mike Baden, you were a member, but you were absent at that particular meeting. Anyway, the decision indicates that the layout, the interior layout of the building was provided on October 14, 2010, and it was attached to the decision. And the site plan quote received dated November 12, 2010, as received by the Town of Rochester Planning Board. Now the town clerk was told that they cannot locate the site plan, they cannot locate them. So how it is possible, that's my question. And what I'm going to do, what we can do. How is possible not to have the site plan attached to the decision? How is possible that the CEO doesn't know from the planning board that we are for over 10 years residential and commercial? I was also told that no, you cannot be residential. You can be either or. So that's my. I
Okay,
wanted to
thank
make
you.
you aware, and I wanted you to consider our and the way it is, it's very unfair, and the most that one, and then it was disturbing the way people talk.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else tonight?
Yes.
Yes.
I just wanted to know, is the town board considering purchasing Skate Time 209? Or is that something that you're looking at down the line?
We're not able to comment on.
Is there a reason you can't comment on?
Because the acquisition of any properties is obviously involving a sale. So we're not able to comment. If and when we ever decided to purchase any property, it would go to a public referendum vote.
Right.
So it would be announced at that time.
So not until then.
But, and the referendum vote would be announced 90 to 105 days prior to the actual vote.
Okay.
So at this point, I cannot comment on it.
Long as I have an idea what's happening.
You still go.
It's not meant to be anything in secret. It is just, at this point, we are not able to comment on it.
And why did they do a site plan and why did they do an appraisal of it? Why did the town pay for an appraisal?
I cannot comment on it right now.
Because you're hiding something.
Maybe, can you please explain why we cannot
We
comment
cannot
on a
comment on
transaction?
this or any other transaction that may be in negotiations. It just when those things can't be commented on. That's why things are done in executive session when we're looking at either buying or selling a property. And then if it comes to be that we're going to buy or sell a property, then it will be discussed in public.
I understand about the referendum and all that.
Mhm.
But if money's already been put out there, that's taxpayers' money, as I understand it. Unless the supervisor has laid out his own money.
Well, there is money budgeted every year for professional services. It came out of our budget under professional services.
So that it was done.
See, and that's the thing, a lot of the taxpayers hear secondhand information and nobody's aware of what's happening. And it makes things, like she said, it sounds like things are being hidden.
Agreed, but there are reasons why we are not able to discuss negotiations for a potential. So I can't comment on it right now. There's nothing shady going on, but there are legal reasons why we are not allowed to comment on
Yeah,
negotiations.
negotiations are not commented on until they're done. Just like when we have a highway department negotiation for the new contracts. They're not discussed in public while negotiations are going on. I mean, think about if you were negotiating something and everybody.
Well, I'm not asking. all
So
the
I guess all I can
information
say is you
regarding-
can make whatever assumptions you'd like from that information that you have, but
Any-
unfortunately, it can't be discussed.
Any contract that is being negotiated potentially has if it's being, contracts shouldn't be negotiated in public. They're negotiated in private. Once they are established, then they move forward to
And
the
what
public.
happens if, when you put it up for the referendum, taxpayers in this town voted down?
Then we would not move forward with the purchase.
So then you would lose whatever monies you put forward?
It's not that we lost money, it's we paid for a service. So, it's not that we lost money, we paid for a service, we paid for many services throughout the year, so.
Oh, I'm sure, I'm sure of that.
I was just
Just
looking at
curious.
that beautiful building next door. I'm on the historic preservation committee.
Ma'am, this is public, please, this is public comment for the town board. We are not in
It's
the
time for me to
discussion.
leave Because you know you weren't here.
I'm happy to hear, but this is public comment to the town board.
It's not
We are-
public comment. You're one-sided, you're biased, just like all the rest of them.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak tonight?
Yeah, what's happening with zoning changes? The zoning designation changes for 1819 Granite Road.
It's an error. It's Berm Road. There is a request to rezone a property and the town board is considering the request from any resident can request a zoning change. He submitted an application. I apologize. I wrote Granite. It is Berm Road. It was an error on the agenda.
That makes a big difference.
I understand it was a
Thank you.
mistake made. I apologize.
I'd like to speak if I could.
Thank you.
May I?
Yes.
I live on Burn Road. My name is Melania Cowan. I lived there for 20+ years. not too far, maybe half a mile from 1819. I have no problem with people wanting to live on Burn Road and do whatever, but this is a residential street. It's one lane each way. There's no line that separates those two lanes. It's 30 miles an hour. It is not equipped for any kind of agribusiness or commercial, or whatever that's gonna go in on Burn Road. And excuse me,
Okay,
I strongly oppose any proposal that property or any property on Burn Road be deemed commercial or any kind of agribusiness or anything other than residential. It should remain, everything should remain as it is. If
Exactly.
people walk, people bike, people ride they jog. It's not equipped, there's not enough.
there will be a public hearing process if this is an application to the town board. The difference between the town board and the planning board, when they receive an application, they must act on it. This is an application to the town board to consider whether to consider it. If it is being considered, it will go through the public hearing process. Every neighbor of the adjoining properties within 500 feet will be notified. There will be a public hearing process. It will be referred to the local planning board. It will be referred to the county planning board. It's a process. There's an application presented. At this point, that's all it is step one of an application presented.
And I appreciate that much.
Yes.
I'm telling you right now, today, I'm gonna fight it till the end, because
Just
my
so-
street,
Definitely.
it's my residential area.
If it does go to public hearing, please make sure you come to the public
Yeah.
hearing, or if you can't, that you write a letter so that your comments will be part of the official record.
Yes.
All right, I appreciate
Yes.
that. Thank
But it
you.
is on tonight's agenda because we received an application and that is the only purpose. And my apologies, I did write granite instead of berm
Yeah,
when I
please
made,
correct that to the rest of the town members, so they're aware of it. 1819 Brown
Yes.
Road, Trahant.
yes.
Yeah, because that affects the whole road, traffic wise and everything. I mean, there's enough traffic on that road now,
And they fly
We're-
like crazy.
and they
sir.
fly down that road.
We will be
There's no-
holding the public hearing on that project.
I just want to discuss it now because that's what it says, discussion.
The discussion is for the town board to discuss. It's not a discussion with the public right now.
Okay, but that's my
Oh, why are we here?
Yeah.
Why are we here if we're not supposed to discuss it?
Is my hand not big enough?
We are public, we are the public.
This man is still speaking. I see your hand raised, but this man is still speaking.
That's what my son-in-law, he'll let me talk.
Okay, well, yes, ma'am.
I am also living on the Burn Road. I just moved back after being on for a few years, but I lived on that road for 25 years. Are you aware that there's also an airport right behind that property?
Yes, we are.
Okay. I certainly don't want people coming in and dropping guests off, flying over my house and will you let me know? I didn't know that. I looked at that, I said, Granite Road, why are they talking about Granite Road? I thought we were coming here to talk about the Burn Road, which we had heard. So I live on the Burn Road. I live in Harold Lipton's house, by the way. I bought that house from his daughter in September, and I live next door where Joe lives now for 25 years. And there is so much more traffic on that road than when I lived there in 1969. And I cannot believe the amount of traffic on that road. And it certainly does not warrant any more traffic with an event center. And if I get the notice, which I didn't get about this, thank God the neighbors are letting us know. Oh, but I said Granite Road. I know, shame on you.
I apologize. I made a mistake and I apologize.
Your mistake is accepted as long as you
Thank
send
you.
me a letter to let me know. when
Every
that
neighbor
comes up.
within 500 feet, if it gets the public hearing,
Yeah.
will, and if it doesn't get to public hearing, then it will not move forward.
Yeah,
So,
My children played in that house next door and, you know,
What's the
I don't wanna-
what's the 500 feet?
yeah.
That's what
500
it is
feet of
by
the
law.
boundary of the property, a personal notice is sent to every neighbor within 500 feet of the boundary of the property.
Well, you're
That
a
is-
neighbor right there because that's right on a rail trail. And it's
Agreed,
right on the road that goes into the rail trail.
agreed.
And it also, if if the board decides to go forward with the consideration of the application, it will be on the town website and it will be published in the paper as well.
Okay, we
So
will-
if you're not within 500 feet,
Yeah.
make sure you check those things.
We will keep track of that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I haven't heard the last of us about it.
Understood.
We're united.
We just received this application. It was put on the agenda to present to the board tonight to decide next steps. So
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any more public comment? Okay. Moving forward, I have to add a resolution. As a reminder to the board and to the members of the public, there is a special meeting scheduled for August 12th. Is it 6:30 or 7:30? 6:30 PM, which is a public hearing for the short-term rental law. Because we advertised it as a public hearing, if we wish to conduct a discussion afterward, we have to schedule a special meeting to immediately follow. So I'm going to ask for a recommended resolution to schedule a special meeting to be held August 12th, 2021 at the Harold Lipton Community Center, 15 Tobacco Road, Ashford, New York, to immediately follow the public hearing. And request the town clerk circulate notice of the meeting.
And this is for
Purpose of discussion of the public hearing. Remember, we had hoped to discuss and possibly vote on the law after the public hearing. But in order to be able to do that, we have to schedule a special meeting because we're not allowed to do that at the public hearing. Once the public hearing is closed, if we want to have further meeting,
I asked that question to
He doesn't want me to
clarify.
yell at you guys. That's what it comes down
No,
to.
I asked for that question to
and-
clarify why.
yeah, and that is the purpose with the hopes of, if we are moving forward with the adoption of this for September 1st.
Thank you.
Is that something that, do you want me at that or not? You haven't had me at the short-term rental meetings thus far.
Probably not. Probably not. If we need you, we probably could call you
Okay.
if we need to answer to something.
Adam's looking like me.
Yeah, if we're trying to put the final touches on that, and I'd hate to see us run into a roadblock
Okay.
where, and I hate
I
to drag
don't
you
have
out on
any-
another
I
Thursday.
don't have an eraser.
Okay, but I was just thinking if we're gonna try and put the finishing touches on
Okay.
this and we run into
Then
a
yes, we would
conundrum.
like to.
All right.
Okay,
We need a motion.
yep. Do I have that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
A second?
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained. Okay. Recommended resolution, this is for action on minutes. The town board accepts the minutes of the June 24th, 2021 audit workshop meeting, the July 1st regular meeting, the July 8th special meeting, the July 26th special meeting, the July 29th audit workshop meeting as amended. There were a couple changes that I circulated to everybody by email.
I'll make
that motion.
I'll second.
I have it. Any questions?
I just wanted to say, did we not get Kate the info? Is that how she missed the timeframes for the closing of the?
Yeah, and
We
then I
did not
forgot.
get her the times for the end of the close of that meeting, which is why
That's-
they were corrected.
That's why I wanted,
Yes.
because she doesn't usually miss
No,
much.
no. And she added in the other quote from the other copier company for when we just had the resolution for the one we accepted.
Right,
She's added in the other.
yes.
And the other one was just a couple little clarifications of some changes. There was one sentence that was not finished. It just ended in mid-sentence. Those were the only amendments I saw.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. Okay. Acceptance of donations. The town board accepts donations of $81.26 from St. Pauli's Textile Incorporated and $400 from the Rondout Valley Education Foundation for a summer youth recreation program trip to Hurd's Family Farm.
I'll make the motion.
Have a second
I'll second.
discussion, and they have the St. Pauli's Textile is the monies that we recoup from the Dropbox out here And Ashley has already sent a thank you to the Education Foundation. All in favor?
I,
Opposed? Abstained. Okay, authorizing use of the Harold Lipton Community Center. The town board authorizes the recreation director to work with the Ulster County Department of the Aging to organize a Tai Chi class to be held 6 to 8 weeks this fall at the Harold Lipton Community Center upon presentation of a certificate of insurance. Do I have that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Questions or discussion?
Question.
Yep.
The certificate of insurance is for the instructor?
No, it's a county program, so the county is sponsoring it, not our town recreation department. So
Thank
we will piggyback off the county's insurance.
Thank you.
But they approached Ashley with holding it here at our, they've been very impressed with our senior program that they run, and they would like to work off it. So that's why they will present their certificate of insurance, because it'll be their class. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain. Okay. I'm gonna make this motion and then we'll get a second and then we'll let Kate talk about this. So this is authorizing co-sponsoring of Heritage Day. The town board agrees to co-sponsor the Friends of Historic Rochester Heritage Day to be held October 2nd, 2021, and authorizes the use of the Harold Lipton Community Center, Town Hall, and Town Park facilities and properties. The town board further authorizes the town supervisor to utilize the town insurance policy as an additional insured policy for the purposes of the closure of Main Street Accord from Scenic Road to Granite Road for the event at no additional cost to the town, provided a COI, which is certificate of insurance, is received from all vendors and or organizations who will be utilizing the closed road. The town clerk, recreation director, and town supervisor shall coordinate with Friends of Historic Rochester on this. Now, I'm gonna make that motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I'm gonna turn the floor over to Kate and let her
I'm
talk
really
about this
disappointed so many
project.
people left.
I know.
So it's hard to believe it's April was the last time I came to you guys with all these ideas. And after I spoke with you, Ashley and I got together and we went in different directions as to what we were gonna do. So I just wanna go through the list of the stuff that we have set, so you know, and then I'll go into why we're asking for the town to co-sponsor. So that day, our museum will be open for people to view town artifacts. Behind the museum, we are going to have the Huguenot Street Historic Society there doing various children activities from 18th century, chores and games. There's candle making. We're trying to still get a blacksmith to do an activity. We're not quite there on that yet. And we're going to have a representative from the Palentown School with information on the history of the Palentown School, and have signups to do tours, and also looking for volunteers, because a big part of this day is also letting people learn what we have to offer in the town, what commissions we have, what boards people can get on, and ways they can also help the community while learning about the town. So we'll have the Palentown School there, the HPC, they're going to promote the rail trail. They're going to talk about the history of the rail trail, and also work in their they're doing a canal walk about 2 weeks after Heritage Day. So this is a way to promote that activity that they're doing, while you also learn about why the canal was so important to the town during the 18th century. So we have that going on. Main Street will be closed off for the historical walk tour, which each house on Main Street, you'll find information and photos of what the house meant to Main Street during the 19th century and the importance it was for the area. And then on one side, we'll have vendors, and the other side will be foot traffic and also emergency vehicle access if they need to leave for any sort of emergency. I've already been to several meetings with the fire company where they're actually going to have a bunch of their equipment at the town hall, so they don't have to necessarily get in the truck at the on Main Street and go from there. So they've been really good coordinating that with me. The firehouse in the front, they're gonna have their old trucks out and some of their old equipment. And then they'll have their newer trucks out for kids to climb in, see some of the apparatus gear. They'll have a table set up for people that want to volunteer or how they can get involved in the fire company, whether it's through, their social group, or become a firefighter. I have reached out to the first aid squad as well, but they have not gotten back to me on that. The firehouse is gonna sell hot dogs, and in the back of the firehouse, Rochester 2 is going to be selling sausage and peppers and chips and a drink and doing an antique car show. We're also planning on having bands play in that location so people can listen to music. And then you'll make your way over to the community center where there's going to be the Jenny Bell Pie Festival. And inside the community center will be a quilt show. We're hoping Little Ones Library will participate and possibly sell chili for a profit for themselves. We're trying to figure out all the kinks with that. Behind us, we will have the ECC. They're deciding on whether or not they want to do a couple presentations that day or somehow connect in their Rondell cleanup. And if they do the cleanup prior to that, bring some of the stuff to their booth. So look what's in the Rondell. These are ways you can help. And hopefully get people involved in those organizations as well. And then they'll be selling pizza in the back for a profit. The train station, we're not quite sure what they're ready to do, the owners there, but they do want to participate in some way. I thought it'd be great for them to have information on when the train station was operating. And I thought it'd be cool, people could take photos at their caboose, but I'm not sure if that's going to happen yet. And with the granary, I thought the same thing. It'd be great to have information about the granary when it was the Anderson Mill, what it brought to the town at the time, some proposed ideas as to what they're looking to do in the future. And if they're not already doing construction, maybe do a tour too. And then we'll have various vendors. And at 8 o'clock, we will be doing a candlelight vigil in memory of Alice Schoonmaker and Richard Ryder, who were both, they both passed last year. And they're both really instrumental in town history. And we're still trying to work on the fireworks idea, so I'm not giving up on that yet. So with all that, we are utilizing a lot of town property, boards, commissions. Jeff's been very helpful with, because we will be doing hay rides with kids, pumpkin painting, face painting. So there's gonna be a big variety of stuff going on. So I've been in contact with Jeff. He's willing to help in any way. The fire companies have been on board. I've met with them several times. I've spoke to Rich as well about road closure. I have reached out to both the state police and the sheriff's offices, so they are aware of it. The first aid squad is aware of it. So Ashley and I had a meeting with Mike the other day to kind of discuss it a little further, and it just seemed this direction to go in as a co-sponsorship, because we are utilizing town property and boards and commissions and town employees. And that's about it.
What time does that start, Kate? 'Cause I'm putting in my calendar.
So it will start at 11 o'clock that day.
Thank you.
11 a.m. question mark.
Yeah.
11 to 4?
It's 11 to 6,
11 to
like
6.
vendors, but
depends whether they
it's gonna
can get
continue on,
fireworks.
like 7 o'clock is gonna be the candlelight vigil. And we're hoping maybe like by 8:30 doing fireworks, so. Yeah.
Well, nice job getting Main Street repaved,
Yeah.
cleaning it up, we got guests coming, so.
Yeah. So that's where we're at.
Well,
Awesome job.
yeah, so in talking with the DOT to be able to close Main Street, they need an insurance certificate. We reached out to our insurance company. There is no additional cost. We are able to utilize our town liability policy. The only thing we have to do is any vendors that are going to be set up on that street, we will need a certificate of insurance from them. Kate and Ashley are going to handle that, securing those. It will be verified before they're allowed to set up that we have their insurance policy in hand.
Do they have to get anything from the Ulster County Department of Health to sell food?
Well, yes, they would have to do that. We are trying to limit any kind of food vendors because we prefer it to be organizations. That's the direction we're trying to go in,
Right.
so it can help profit the organizations. But that's between the vendor and Department of Health, and they would
Okay.
have to have that in their, displayed in their window that day,
Yeah.
but
Right.
we are
Okay.
trying to
I got it.
steer away from that.
We're not
if we
encouraging food vendors
no,
because
Right.
she's worked with the various
work
fire
And
departments,
everything
fire districts.
to make money for each.
Yeah,
individual
one's gonna
committee
do
and
sausage
things.
and
That's
peppers,
good.
one's
Yeah.
gonna do, yeah.
Us.
so,
See it.
Yeah.
Um,
That's the plan.
The ECC here is gonna do pizza in our
No.
clay oven in the back. So we're trying to keep the food to organizations.
Yeah.
But the answer is anybody that is selling food would need to get
Right.
their
Yeah.
Department of Health permit for it. So. And Councilman Hewitt has already volunteered to, as his usual.
The pizza guy.
to be
Pizza
the-
guy.
He's the pizza guy.
Oh, and it's October 2nd, if I didn't say the date.
Yes, October 2nd.
Yes.
Yes. So the reason for the ask is to asking the board's permission to utilize our certificate of insurance and to allow our facilities to be used as part of the, and the easiest way we came up with was to do a co-sponsorship of it with them. So we have a motion and a second. Does anybody else have any other questions? Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Abstain. Okay. And Kate and Ashley have done an amazing job putting this together. It's sadly, anybody knows people who are interested in history. We are desperately in need of people to be involved with Friends of Historic Rochester. It's a private organization, but it is a very valuable part of the community. And sadly, many of the members have passed, and we need to get some new people involved. Authorization to work additional hours. The town board authorizes Christina Farrar to work an additional 5 hours per week to assist the assessor until August 28th, 2021, in addition to normal work hours as first deputy clerk, and will be compensated at the regular rate of pay.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
We're doing it on a month by month, just because we didn't know how long we would need her, so. And that is, Mike's last day is officially the 27th, but the 28th is the Saturday. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain. Okay. Next, this is the recommended resolution. The town board approves a change in pay rate for Courtney Coffey, third deputy town clerk, to $16 per hour effective August 1st, 2021. Do I have that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. She started with us as a temp or as a part-timer last year. She's just completed 1 year. We made her a third deputy town clerk earlier this year. She continues to be assigned to the building department for the moment. Kate will be utilizing her services come tax time. But she has essentially finished her probationary period and is I think this 50 cent an hour raise is warranted. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain. Okay. Authorization to work additional hours. The town board establishes a temporary position of records management assistant and authorizes Courtney Coffey to work up to an additional 12 hours per week to assist in the preparation of building and code enforcement records for scanning for the period of August 8th through October 2nd, 2021, in addition to normal work hours as third deputy town clerk, to be compensated at the employee's regular rate of pay.
I'll make that motion.
Have a second?
I'll second.
This is to get all those building department records ready. We did not put in the budget for any staffing for this. We discussed, we wanted to spend as much money as possible on the records themselves. And one thing I forgot to mention earlier, we also will be purchasing at the state price, a large scale format scanner. So moving forward, we will be able to scan large format maps and things ourselves. What this will do, and I believe that this is part of the reason we secured the grant, because what it shows is that we're going to apply for the grant this time, and then we will start maintaining our own moving forward in the future.
How much will the large scale scanner?
It's part of, it's paid for,
It's in the grant.
it's in the grant.
It was
That's
about
what I was
$8,000.
It's about $8,000, yes. There is a newer model that is available now. He sent it to me yesterday. It's the same price, but it's a better model than the one we picked in 2019.
Who,
So
who was,
the company that we're working with is called InStream. They are located in, with this grant, you apply to New York State, and New York State assigns you a vendor. You get quotes from vendors, but then New York State, because they partner with the New York State, and I'm gonna forget the initials, it's SSID. It's basically people with the companies that hire people with disabilities to do this type of work. The state partners with them. They provided a quote for us along with two other companies. This company, we then provided those three quotes to the state. The state said, this is the vendor that you will use in
this
your
is part of
grant.
your grant package?
Yeah. And all that was done back in 19, in the fall of 19, in preparation for the 2020 application, which was then did not happen because of the pandemic. Kate and I were both thrilled and a little surprised when I'm sitting there watching my email and an email rolled in that said, basically grant, local government records management grant. And I quickly opened it to find out that they rolled over all the 2020 applications and we were awarded. So, so Courtney's job will be to, the reason being is you can't use existing staff if it's being paid for out of the grant, but you can use existing staff if you increase their hours. But it's also, in our case, it's not being paid for out of the grant, but it's, we don't want to impede the day-to-day operations. So she currently works 28 hours a week. She will work an additional 12 during this period of time to do the records. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain. Okay. Authorization of agreement. The town board authorizes the town supervisor to sign a memorandum of agreement between the town of Rochester and Michael Dunham to assist in assessor transition at a rate of $25 per hour for up to 60 hours per month, effective August 29th, 2021. Do I have that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Dunham offered this since our assessor's clerk is out temporarily on disability. The bonus is we will get his expertise to train the new assessor. So I think it's a very worthwhile expense. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain. Okay. In your packet is a memorandum of agreement with the IBW Local 363. So this is authorized, the town board authorized the supervisor sign a memorandum of agreement. I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong one. Authorized the town supervisor to sign a memorandum of agreement between the town of Rochester and IBW Local 363 as presented. Do I have that motion?
I'll make the
Do I
motion.
have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, you will see the word change that was requested is reflected in there to the agreement that I presented to you all last month or last meeting, excuse me. For the public, our IBW Local 363 is the union that represents our highway workers. We are doing a mid-contract amendment to it, and this agreement that we're signing is that amendment. The contract is currently in the second year of a 3-year contract. It'll expire in 2022.
Are we allowed to
Sure.
explain what the job
Yes,
is?
what we are doing is we are designating our building employee, buildings and grounds employee, as will now be part of the union collective bargaining agreement. We had a request, I may not have the correct language, but a card of request was signed with the union. It was presented to us. The board negotiated it. There is no change in rate of pay. It is still the same rate of pay as previous. but what this does is includes this position in the collective bargaining agreement that we currently have. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain. Okay. This next, the agreement is in your packet. I apologize, it's a little short notice, but it's kind of carries over with a conversation we had about a month ago. It says authorization to sign a poll agreement with the Ulster County Board of Elections. Town board authorized the town supervisor to sign a 2021 poll site agreement between the town of Rochester and the Ulster County Board of Elections for use of the Harold Lifton Community Center as a poll site for the November 2nd, 2021 general election as presented.
How many, I was gonna say, how many districts are here?
Just one,
Just one in this building?
but let's get a motion in a
I'll
second.
make the
first.
motion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have a second?
A second.
Okay. So this is a replacement for the Algerville Firehouse.
That's what I was.
The last two elections, it was moved to the Rochester Fire, the
Hold it.
Sampsonville, Rochester Company 2. As you can imagine, that's a great distance. It was done at the general election last year. It was done at the primary this year because the new, I'm told the new Republican commissioner did not want to make any changes from the previous agreement. After that election, we received a number of complaints. I conveyed them to the Board of Elections. We entered into a discussion to find a suitable location. I provided this as an alternative. They came and viewed it. They're very happy with this being the site. So this will be the replacement for the Algerville Firehouse, which will be under construction.
Makes much more sense mileage wise.
Exactly.
And this is District 4, right?
This is
District 4.
District 4.
Yeah. And and then the Ulster County Board of Elections is responsible for notifying the voters of
Yes.
the location change.
They send out, once we sign this poll site agreement, they then send out a card to all the registered voters in that district, alerting them of and it will also be publicized, I'm sure, through the newspaper and other means.
Can we request that they
certainly-
put a sign up at the old location on election day?
Sure,
Okay,
we can try. Yeah, we can certainly try to request that. We also can help publicize it as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
Absolutely.
That's my only concern is I
Yeah.
want voters to
Yeah.
find their
Yep.
poll.
And a number of voters have suggested this site, and I told them that it was in the discussion phase, so. And as you see, there is no cost to us. We just have to make the space available to them for a period of time. The only issue I have to resolve with them is they need a phone line. We don't have a phone line, a corded phone line.
Right.
We don't have one in this room, but that can be resolved, I'm sure. Worst case is we can make the office available to them so they can use the phone in the office.
During the primary, I don't know, did they have a phone at the firehouse? The ladies were using their personal.
I don't know.
phones.
The contract requires a corded phone. Maybe they do not follow their own contract, but the contract
just
requires a wired phone line of being
The
available.
ladies were using their own personal phones.
Yes. And maybe they have okayed that. I'm not, that's the only issue that we have with the space. So otherwise, and we can certainly resolve that. If we have to, we'll just run a temporary phone line out from an office. So easily solved. And we are closed that day already. So it's a good solution. All in favor? Opposed? Abstain. Okay. These next two go together, and Mary Lou has an addition that will be needed to add in the language. So I'll read the resolution and then I'm going to let Mary Lou give me the language to amend it.
So are we gonna do L and M together then?
We should do them separate,
Oh,
but
okay.
whatever language we do for the first one will probably
Okay.
be the same language in the second one, because they are two different contracts.
Okay, fine.
Recommended resolution, the town board authorizes the town supervisor to sign the First Amendment of land lease agreement by and between the town of Rochester Municipal Corporation and American Towers LLC, a Delaware limited liability company, to extend the land lease entered into dated July 11, 2007, as the same may have been amended from time to time and originally commenced on July 11, 2007. And then what do I need to add on that, Mary
We
Lou?
need to add two things. We have to say contingent upon a lease including language regarding permissive referendum and subject to permissive referendum.
Where would we add that? Just at the end?
At the end is fine.
Okay, so
And you may want to direct the town clerk to.
direct the town clerk to circulate notice of the permissive referendum.
Yes.
Okay. I'll make that motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. What this is, you'll remember we received an offer from the holder of the cell tower lease at both Airport Road and 209. It is American Tower. They are the people who currently lease it from us. They are looking to extend the lease, which currently expires at 2038.
2037.
2037, that was close. Was it a 30 or 40-year extension?
It's up to 40 years.
Okay.
It's up to 8 5-year renewals.
Okay, so they are proposing up to 8 5-year renewals. In return for that, the contract conditions will continue. As it is, the town gets approximately between these two sites, we get approximately $10,000 to $14,000 a month in rental fees. What that is, and in another year or two, we're actually going to be going up another 5%. We currently get a percentage of the rental that they get from the carriers who have antennas on those towers. We get, in return, they pay us a percentage of that on a monthly basis. So currently, we receive 40%, they receive 60%. I might even be in 2022. I'd have to go back and look at the contract. There's certain trigger points. When it started out, it was at 30%. It's increased.
In 2022, it goes up to 45%.
Okay, 2022. And each one had a different date because they had a different origination date. But so starting then, we will get an additional 5%. This extension continues that those same contract terms. So it is essentially a payment, whether cell towers will even still exist at that time, who knows? But it is, they are offering a lump sum payment of $30,000 per tower to the town to extend the contract. It seems like there is no reason not to consider this, so. But it will be, because it is a lease and it is being extended, this will be subject to a permissive referendum. What that means is, from the date of publication, the voters of the town will have, is it 30 days?
I believe it's
Oh,
30.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's 30 days.
I think it is.
30
I believe
days.
it's 30 days to submit petition with a certain number of signatures, and
5% of the
Voted
voters
from
at
the last general
governor-
election.
I think it's a governor election.
no,
Maybe
governors,
governors,
that's
yeah, which is-
gubernatorial.
Right,
So
which
it-
is-
The number is 5% of the total number of voters in the town of Rochester in the last election that a governor was elected. We will have to calculate what that number is, but if we receive that number of,
Kate and I will, if we get a
Yeah.
petition, we'll go
if we
through
get
every name
petitions
again.
calling for a referendum ballot, if that number is achieved, we will hold a referendum ballot before this can take place. If it is not achieved, then the resolution will move forward at that time,
After the 30 days.
after the 30 days from publication. We are hoping to get that published in the next Thursday's newspaper with any luck. I'm just gonna have to email this guy back and let him know that
That I'm gonna
yeah, that
amend
it's gonna be
language, yeah.
subject to permissive referendum. Any questions from the board, comments, discussion? For the public's information, we have received other companies who have made offers of somewhat similar, but nowhere near the extent of this contract. offer, and so we have received offers to buy us out of our rights to the land in general. So these other companies would then take over the revenue. This seemed to make the most sense to continue the revenue coming in every year. The other option was to buy us out totally on a flat sum. We did not see that that was advantageous for the taxpayers. This way, we continue to receive that $120,000 to $150,000 a year revenue, which will only continue to increase. So. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain. Okay. So the same motion, except for the 209 cellular site, the town board authorizes the town supervisor to sign the First Amendment to land lease agreement by and between the town of Rochester Municipal Corporation, landlord, and American Towers LLC, a Delaware limited liability company, to extend a land lease entered into July 11th, 2007. As same may have been amended from time to time and originally commenced on July 14th, 2008. Do I have that motion?
With the
Oh, with the
additional
additions.
language as
Yes.
we had on the last.
Yes. So subject to permissive referendum, subject to, what was the first part?
Contingent
Subject
upon
to-
to our
lease,
lease.
including language.
Right.
With this permissive
Regarding
referendum,
the.
and then directing the
Directing the town
town
clerk
clerk.
to post notice of the permissive referendum. Do I have that motion?
I'll make the
Do I have
motion.
a second?
I'll second.
The date, are these dates?
They are
They're
different
because
because
one was done
they
before the
began
other.
operation on different dates.
Okay, so full year apart.
Yep,
Okay.
they were a full year apart.
Got it.
One took a little longer to get through the planning board process than the other one. So the land lease was entered into, but they didn't begin operation until that much. And I made sure I didn't reverse them. I went back and double checked. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay.
Mike, before you move on.
Yep.
On the, going back to the last item before these on the poll site information. They have the wrong address down for the community center, so
Oh, thank you.
if there's one thing we don't want,
Do they
they're
have,
sending out little yellow cards with
do
the
they
wrong
still have
address. They have
GLF?
50 Scenic Road and then
Oh.
in parentheses, 15 GLF Road.
Okay, and it's not even GLF road,
Oh,
it's
right, so
tobacco
we need
road.
for it to be.
I will
take out
correct that.
Scenic Road
Yep.
and just make it the tobacco road. But
Okay,
imagine getting that card and everybody's over at town
Yeah.
hall and looking for GLF Road.
I don't need a resolution for that, I can just correct.
No,
the
no, you can
contract.
just
Okay.
correct
Okay,
Good catch.
very good catch. Next, we have a request to refund fees. The town board authorizes the town clerk to refund $236 paid to the town of Rochester by credit card on July 21st. I'm sorry, there's an L missing there. July 21st, 2021, for fees associated with building permit application 21/389 to Stephen Borgia, 1013 Wood Street, Scranton, Pennsylvania, 18508. The property was determined to be located in the town of Warsing. The town clerk will reverse the credit card charge.
I'll make that
I
motion.
have a second.
I'll second.
Because Kate hasn't transmitted the money to us, meaning the town board, she can just reverse it. And move. It's apparently near the borderline and the person was confused which town.
Church Street
Yeah.
is in More Warsing, but you're right, it's close.
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. Thank you. Recommended resolution, the town of Rochester Town Board hereby requests the Department of Transportation pursuant to section 1622.1 of the Vehicles and Traffic Law to establish a lower maximum speed at which vehicles may proceed on County Route 6 between Old Kings Highway and Towpath Road. Do I have that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Have a second.
I'll second.
This was requested by the people who farm that area. They are traveling down that road with tractors. Specifically, we went all the way back past the four-way stop sign to to Old Kings Highway. The section by the school is already being addressed by the school. This is a county road, but for the public's information, the town board can only request to the DOT. The DOT actually has established last year, or maybe in 19, they established a policy that municipalities are required to do their own speed analysis test. It is pretty costly to do it. However, if you do a request without doing your own, they will do it, but they say if you want an expedited review. So I'm bringing this to you as we have always done it in the past. We do not have any money budgeted or funded to do a study of these. We can move through this process. Bear in mind that a number of them that we have requested over the last 3.5 years that I've been in office, we've only had 1 out of, I think, 7 approved. And that was for Creek Road, where they came back and said local determination of whatever the speed should be. The other ones we've asked, they have denied every one of them.
I think.
We can
this-
continue to try.
I think the sad thing is, if they would force us to do this study and it takes that long to do it, is it unfortunately going to take someone to get hurt or die?
I don't
That
disagree.
is a very, very sad thing, and it almost happened already this year. That's why
Agreed.
this request came in.
Agreed. The state's position is they review these, and their opinion is that these are not speed limit issues. These are enforcement issues, that the majority of people that are causing these are speeding. And lowering the speed limit will not solve the problem. That is usually their opinion in general.
Now, this is from the county that we get this, or from the New
We have to
York
go,
State deal?
so for this one, because it's a county road,
Right.
we go to the Department, correct me if I'm wrong, Kate, we go to the Department of Transportation, but because it's a county road, the county is included in the request.
But it goes to the state, and
The
then the
state
county
is-
gets involved.
Because we are under a certain population, only, even on our own town roads, we cannot lower a speed limit without the New York State Department of Transportation okaying it. Not even 1 mile an hour. We must follow the set speed limit that they prescribe for roads, whether it's our road, whether it's a county road, whether it's a state road.
That's very
They have,
sad.
under the laws, they have full say over whether it happens or not.
I understand that they have full say, but wouldn't you think they would be smart enough to think about what towns are proposing to them? Since the townspeople know best about their own roads.
Yep, but
For what that's
as I
worth.
said just a few minutes ago,
I know.
we've turned in 8 of these
I know.
since I've been here, and we've had 1 approved. We,
That's why I made the comment that I made.
yeah,
It's
some
sad.
of them, I don't even know if we still have heard back on. I don't remember exactly. I know we
Is
were
there a
denied
time?
on a number of them.
Is there a time frame? Like, we have to make decisions within X time frame.
There
Do
is
they have to make?
There is not.
Not on
The
this.
Creek Road one took 13 months for them to get back to us by Creek Road, only to tell us that we could reduce it down to whatever we wanted.
Well, that was
And ironically,
something.
they
That
didn't even
was still
discover that,
something.
we only discovered after the fact that Creek Road was a county road, not a town road. They didn't even just know that.
Exactly.
Neither did we.
It took 13 months for them to tell us we could do what we wanted.
Yeah.
So,
So I only say that because we can continue trying. Oh,
I think we have. to.
I think we have to as well. And potentially, if we continue to try again and again and again, maybe something will happen. So we have a motion
Yes.
and a second.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain. Okay, next, and the reason these are separate is each one is a separate road. Town of Rochester Town Board hereby requests the Department of Transportation pursuant to section 1622.1 of the Vehicle and Traffic Law to establish a lower maximum speed at which vehicles may proceed on Clay Hill Road between Sampsonville Road and the Town of Rochester, Town of Warsing Town line. I'll make that motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I worded it the way I did because we can't ask for it in Warsing.
Obviously.
I don't know if they would have joined in on it or not. This one particular one comes to me, a resident who lives on Clay Hill, who rides a motorcycle on a regular basis, came to me earlier this week, and it was earlier this week, right? Yeah, earlier this week. And in pulling out of his driveway with his motorcycle, has been almost hit numerous times. So we'll put this on the agenda and try. I would agree with the volume of traffic, it being a shortcut to Sampsonville from people coming from the south. It is used often.
There's much more traffic in the summer also on that road.
Yep.
Much.
I will say well, I shouldn't say all, the majority of the coach buses going to the ranch and to Ravtov do use Sampsonville. Majority,
Yeah.
majority being the key word.
Okay.
And I know that from visual witnessing. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
sometimes the school buses are another story. But the coach buses at least use Sampsonville. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstain. Okay, and then this last one, the Town of Rochester Town Board hereby requests the Department of Transportation pursuant to 1622.1 of the Vehicle and Traffic Law to establish a lower maximum speed at which vehicles may proceed on Lucas Turnpike between US Route 209 and the Town of Rochester, Town of Marbletown Town Line.
I'll make that motion.
I have a second.
I'll second that.
We did make a request to the Ulster County DPW, and they did put up some slow-moving tractor signs along Lucas. They added some. My own feeling is they put them in some poor spots, but they did put some up along that to help alert people of that area in particular between Lucas and Kaiserreich has a number of farms as well as on Kaiserreich itself now.
Is that a
much
passing zone
more-
as well?
I don't think Lucas has a passing zone there,
I
but I
hope
could be
not.
wrong.
I'm just
I
asking
don't
a
believe
question.
they
It just
do.
came to my mind.
For
I
years,
wouldn't-
for
I
years
wouldn't
it
have
did.
thought
Now it
so.
doesn't have anything to do.
Yeah, I just couldn't, there is a straight stretch there,
Um,
and it,
People pass, but there's no passing zones.
I put this in from 209 all the way to the town line.
I like that.
I wasn't gonna, we have put in the past from 209 past those residential homes. We've tried that. The four-way stop sign took an awful lot of asks and before it was finally done. And a number of fatalities, I believe. Was it
Yes.
fatalities or just injuries? I
There
don't
were
remember.
fatalities.
There's some fatalities.
I believe so, yeah. Again, it's a county road, but it's up to the state, so we can ask. And we do constantly call them and talk to them. Say Tom Jackson, who has just retired as the Ulster County DPW commissioner, was immediately receptive to my phone call to him on a Sunday afternoon. And the signs were up, I believe, by Tuesday or Wednesday. It may have even been on Tuesday. He immediately copied me into an email on Monday morning at before 8 a.m. So I will say he was responsive to the signage, which is about all that the county can actually do. They have the same handcuffs that we have.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstain. Okay, next we have the request for the zoning designation change, 1819 Berm Road, and again, my apologies. Would you like to join us? You want to come up to the front row here if you want to talk from there, whatever.
Staying in the corner.
Okay.
Because I have caught the cold that my son had. So I
Okay,
can sit over here if that's okay.
so we received the full application. we'd like to have a little more of a presentation from you from the other day to decide. You're looking at me. I did not email you the application, the board members. Did I forward the board?
I thought we had something initially.
Yeah.
Did we get something new?
Well, we got
Last week?
he submitted the seeker.
Oh, no.
Oh, secret.
We don't
Okay,
have.
okay.
Seeker I don't
Yeah.
have.
Yeah, it just came to me earlier this week. I put it on since we had the meeting tonight. I can email it to you now, but that wouldn't help you. So
Seeker, what was the deck? What was it?
it was the long form seeker
Let's see,
form
yeah,
is
Yeah,
what
I
was
wanted to
submitted.
know.
So, but do you have, after speaking with us, do you have any other information that
No, I
you
don't-
want to add to it?
I don't think there's anything additional. If there are any questions, I'm happy to address those.
Okay.
I just want to see the.
Yeah, what
secret.
I'll do is I will circulate and I
I would love to
apologize.
see that.
It came earlier this week and I neglected to circulate it all to all of you. I will circulate to you the seeker. We can then make our decision whether to move forward and schedule a public hearing. And, oh, the one question, did you speak with Mr. Davis?
I did.
So will you need planning board approval in this process?
He said, once this stage is done, then if we want to do anything else, then
Well,
we will need to go
except
back.
we can't do it that way.
He
right?
said it's sequential and
Yeah, we'll have to speak with him because
Right,
we're
I
not
talked to
allowed to
Jerry.
do it as, it's called segmentation. So we
Yeah,
can't,
it's sequential so far as getting
Right.
getting approvals from this board and then any other board. But for seeker, it must be looked at together, so.
I asked him about, just to give you the information. So immediately after you responded, I went to him in the afternoon, yesterday, I believe. And he said he will get the seeker once, I don't know the process, so I'm just conveying the
I'll
information.
talk to
you want to
Jerry.
talk to Jerry and explain to him? Yeah, yeah.
And
Because he's not totally incorrect. You can't, the project requires the zoning district change. But for the public, seeker is state environmental quality review.
Right.
And what that is essentially a review of the environment, not just meaning the land and the water, it means everything in the environment, the neighborhood, the environment in a much broader sense. It is a review that must be done. There is a form that is called the Part 1 form, which is filled out by the applicant, which answers a lot of questions about that project. And then the review hinges off the answers to those questions. It's a formalized process. New York State, were you able to use the mapper to answer?
yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
filled. So I can give you
Okay.
a little bit of backdrop. It asks several questions regarding the objectives and the process and how you would operate certain aspects of the use. And also it asks certain questions about the map layers, if you may, for the lack of a better term, the topography. And it asks specific questions about bedrock, which I use Elsa County parcel here to answer, whether it's an aquifer or not, and things like that. It asked about the business purpose or use. And I literally detailed out exactly what we had presented, in addition to the presentation I had shared. With respect to any other items they had mentioned in the form that we should answer to the best of our knowledge. So I'm just giving an example, average bedrock depth, I did not know. And I used the soil mapper that kind of triangulated me to what it would be. And they asked about percentage of soil types and things like that. And I filled all that information. So I filled in everything and
Okay.
anything that was not applicable, I noted no, not applicable in there.
And so I will circulate all that with the board members. We will speak to Mr. Davis to confirm whether your rationale for why you're asking for the zoning district change is for a specific use. And that may require planning board approval. So if that is the case, then the seeker must be done jointly between the planning board and the town board and any other boards that may ultimately have approval over the process. For the public's information, the property is currently zoned R2, which is residential 2 acre. the request is to change it to AR3, which is agricultural residential 3-acre. It allows different types of agricultural uses that are not allowed in the R2 district. We believe, based on our initial review last meeting, that this property was farmland at one time, according to the board members who have history of knowing that property, and also a review of the soil types on that property. It abuts the rail trail, and the Berm Road Rail Trail entrance is where the property is. So. Okay, so we will get with Mr. Davis and we will review that, and then we'll be back in touch as to what next steps would be.
Yeah, and the planning board meeting, I believe, is on the 9th, is that it?
They're on the 9th, but nothing would be to them at that stage.
Okay,
Yeah, you would not be on their agenda yet because you wouldn't have an application yet with them. We would convey the seeker to them, the request, because what the process is when an application is received, the first agency that receives the application, in this case, it's us, we identify any other boards or agencies that have approval process over it, and we have to convey the seeker to them, and we do what's called establishing lead agency, which is the agency that does the main part of the review under seeker. They then have to circulate notice of what's called intent to seek lead agency to those other boards. Those other boards have 30 days to either agree or disagree and say, I want to be lead agency, or if they fail to respond within the 30 days, we take that as they agree with the board. So that's the first step in the seeker process. But we have to do our due diligence and identify any boards who might have approval, which is why I asked you those questions about the planning board. So we'll get answers to those questions and then be able to move further forward once we have those answers.
all right, and I'm happy to join any conversations if you need me.
Sure. Okay.
All right, thank you.
And then, once that happens, then the seeker will be conducted. And then once the seeker is conducted, then the town board would review the zoning request, and then the planning board would review the application request.
Understood.
Can they happen simultaneously with the notice to the applicant that they might be paying for a review, that if
Yeah,
they don't,
because it's not an allowed use
It's
until
not
the
allowed
zoning
use.
is changed.
so it can't? Okay.
So it can't, and you may not make should you move forward, you might not make your secret determination until after you've had some public hearings, so you can
Correct.
determine things from the neighbors like traffic. and
Correct.
Whether you need those things.
Yep.
You won't necessarily make it
Yeah.
before starting the
Right.
more in-depth review
Well,
process.
a zoning district change is done through a local law process, which does require a public hearing
All right,
and a referral to both the local planning board and the county planning board. But then for your actual application of the use, you would then go to the planning board. So it's essentially 3 reviews that have to happen. One is for seeker, which is a combined review, one by the town board for the zoning change, one by the planning board for the use change. So it is not a short process, I will say that, so.
Right. We're gonna be seeing a lot of each other if the
Yeah.
board decides to move forward.
Thank you very much, appreciate your time. Moving on to the no littering laws, did the board have any thoughts on the different proposals that I gave to everybody last month? Remember, I gave you, and I'm just gonna bring it up here, find it here. There's our current solid waste law, there's the littering prototype, which was provided to us by the planning board back last year. Then there's our existing, or then I did a proposed littering law and then a proposed hybrid law, which was a combination of the solid waste and the littering law. So did anybody have any great feelings one way or the other, or if you want more, there's not an
Mike, I did
urgency.
not look at them. I apologize.
That's okay. You're busy running a farm. I get it.
But I will, because I think it's important.
Yeah. We can we can table it for now, and I just wanted to get those 4 samples to you to look at,
You did give them to us.
Yes.
and to just give me your,
You didn't get them?
I didn't look at, no, I got them.
Oh,
I
yeah.
have not reviewed them yet.
I had a cursory look. I was
That's
hoping
about-
Aaron would.
And I'll even,
I
you
did
know,
that as well.
I looked
did
at them
not
when I
study
wrote them,
them.
which was
I'm
2
not
months
going to
ago,
say
so
I did.
I didn't look at them
I'm
this
not
week either.
going to say I did. I looked at them
I
quickly
did-
and said, yeah.
I will
there's
say,
nothing.
in, you know, in the combination, I just sort of, you know, pulled sort of the best of.
The
It's-
hybrid, yeah.
Yeah, in the hybrid version.
Can we table this?
Oh, absolutely. It's this, I keep putting it on the agenda just to remind all of us that.
Sooner or later we'll get to
Yeah.
it.
We'll
Um,
get there.
I wanted to add one, there was some comments tonight about a noise ordinance. I think it's important to say this,
I do.
and I'm kind of sorry the gentleman from the press has left already, but when these were presented to us back a year and a half or 2 years ago, probably, I did look at them extensively. I know there's been statements made that I probably quote unquote threw them in the garbage. I did not. I looked at them extensively. I also contacted the communities who have them, and the first question I ask is, when is the last time you actually enforced this law? And they couldn't tell me. They had no knowledge of whether it was actually enforced or not. The problem with noise ordinances is, this is my opinion, they are a false sense of security. I equate them to speeding. In order to give somebody a speeding ticket, you have to have a standard, which is the speed limit that is posted. You have to have somebody there who has the authority to ticket, who observes it, measures the speed the person is going, and is thus then allowed to give them the ticket. It then goes to the courts, and the courts decide whether they were speeding or not. Same thing with the noise ordinance. Most of these codes, these sample codes, even newer ones, they use words like unreasonable noise. That's not definable. What's unreasonable to you might not be unreasonable to a neighbor. So the only way noise is similar to speed, it is measured in decibels. So the only way you can measure noise is if somebody is there at the moment the noise is happening with a meter that has been calibrated, that person is certified to use that meter, and they are able to measure that noise. And then you also need the baseline, which would be the ambient noise, because we all can agree the ambient noise on Route 209 is very different than the ambient noise somewhere else. I bring all this up because it's not that I'm opposed to a noise ordinance in principle, they just don't work.
I have a suggestion,
Okay,
and I don't know if this would work. I really don't,
Mhm.
but what about, and it's gonna sound stupid, a quiet time ordinance? When you're at a campground, you have to quiet down at 11 or 11:30, depending on where you are,
Mhm.
until the next morning at 8 o'clock.
Mhm.
If that were the case, someone with a loud party, you're not measuring decibels, you're measuring the sound that's carrying more, and they're not quiet. I'm using 11:30. I'm trying to figure out when the track is, because if that's 12 o'clock, then it should be 12 o'clock, so we don't change that. I always think about the racetrack.
the
I'm
track
sorry,
end,
but
the
I do.
track ends at 11:30, but they're allowed to continue for 15 more minutes if the race is ongoing.
Okay,
So
so
11:45, they must be stopped. In all
so
cases.
if we made a quiet time ordinance in the town of midnight till 8 o'clock in the morning, would that be something we can do that has better teeth than, like you're saying, you have to have the decibel meter there, you have to have
Problem
everything
is-
there.
How do you determine?
What do you
what's
determine as quiet? It's the same problem.
I
I'm gonna
understand.
give you an example of why this is my household now that Mike works from home too.
Okay.
He had a tradition of every Friday at work. He was always the first one there,
Mhm.
and he would play heavy metal music as loud as he could. And everyone loved it because that signal was Friday. Over the summer, they asked him to do it again because they have these meetings in the morning. They
Now
will
it's,
love it. I can't work. I have
it's
to-
coming in your house then.
It's in my house.
Well,
So I mean, so they all think it's great and it's,
but I was
it's not
just
a
thinking,
bothersome noise. Whereas to me, that's the problem is, how do you enforce when, when Sally Smith calls? Is that the name you always use, Sally Smith? I don't know where. came
I
up with
use
that.
Sally.
You use
Yeah, I
Sally
do.
Smith,
I
right?
always use Sally.
So
Smith, because
Sally
I don't know
Smith
why.
calls
Maybe
and
she's a great
says-
lady somewhere.
It's 12:05 and my neighbor's making a racket. And the neighbor's like, I was playing some classical music on my deck. It was quiet.
I get it, but I know from campgrounds, and you camp too, and you camp. You can tell the difference when it's the quiet time. I
So-
understand
so-
the enforcement of it.
See,
Right,
camp-
but remember, it's rarely enforcement. I mean, they use your campground. It's usually the rangers coming up and going, come on, guys, knock it off. It's, 11 o'clock, you gotta quiet
Right, you
down.
have somebody who's
yeah,
right there.
And then
yeah.
it's the next day you get thrown out,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
so,
but I'm
um,
saying,
a younger camper at one point. But I hear what you're saying,
Or-
but this comes back to both points. This
it
is,
is.
this
yeah,
isn't an enforcement issue, it's a neighbor to neighbor issue.
Yeah.
To your point too, and I hate to say it, but between that and the speed limit enforcements, these are really things that our constabulary can do for us. Even in the report today, they talk about the the increase in traffic and the increase in neighbor to neighbor. It's one of the things our constabulary is very good at, is diffusing these neighbor to neighbor things. So, rather than a noise ordinance,
Well,
I
remember
mean, I like
too,
your idea, Ben. I'm just
I-
trying
I'm
to figure
just-
out how we
I'm
can.
not-
Yeah, I don't know how to apply it
Yeah.
either, but
yeah, it's not a bad idea, but the issue too is, the state police and the sheriff, they have people patrolling certain hours. They're in the mindset of issuing a vehicle and traffic ticket, a speeding ticket. They understand. It is very rare, if ever, that you will get the state police or a sheriff to issue a local code violation.
if they don't like to, I know.
Well, they don't, it's not their violation.
It's not
So
their
they don't
purview.
understand it. Now, we have a constabulary, not a police department. They are not full-time. We use them as needed, when needed.
Maybe
I
we could
don't-
use them
well,
more in the summer.
And maybe,
just
but
thinking.
I'm just saying, if we move this way, the only way it's going to be enforceable is exactly what Adam
Right.
said. If
Yes.
we start putting a patrol on from midnight to 6 AM, bear in mind, there's gonna be a large cost involved with that. I'm just bringing these things up, and I'm not
I get
trying
it.
to be negative, but I'm just saying, these are great, but they don't work. They don't work.
I know.
I-
I'll look
I
at your
know.
suggestions, see if anybody else has.
See if
anything like
anybody,
that.
I just,
I like
I'm
the
using
idea,
the
I just don't
campground
know how
idea,
you,
you know,
how you
like the
enforce
idea.
it.
Yeah, quiet
because
hours,
like
we
you
don't-
say, the guy rides around on his
Yep.
little scooter in the campground and says,
And,
No,
and
no,
the other thing
no.
is,
Yeah.
when there's a campground, if it's a rental situation like the Rondell Valley Campground.
right,
They have the ability, it's
Yeah,
their
it's our
property.
private property.
They have the ability to say, you aren't doing this, you're out of here. And they don't even really have to have a reason, to be honest. I mean, they probably do, but.
but I'm just,
that's
I
the
use that
difference.
as an example
Yeah,
of quiet time
yeah.
because it's the only one that I
It
can.
truly is a neighbor to neighbor issue, and it's respect of neighbor to neighbor. I freely admit, my texting the rabbi when I hear it too loud on my deck is not a permanent solution.
It's
it
something
helps.
you're making contact.
The other
with
night,
him, he's
I
at
was
least finding out.
sitting out on my deck reading a book, and I was like, oh, Rabbi, I heard it like 3 times in 15 minutes. I texted him. It was stopped in 5 minutes later, and then he texted me back and said, how's that? And I said, Rabbi, I haven't heard it in 15 minutes, and I never heard it again the rest of the night. So,
But it's always some young girl and
Again,
she's always
yep,
screaming into that microphone and that pierces every bit of
well, they don't, yeah,
airwaves that you
Echoing
could
off.
possibly
Agreed.
think.
agreed.
Tell them they need a baritone.
And it,
Oh,
and
well, I don't
they
even-
don't realize how far it carries.
No, no.
Anybody on a speaker system does not realize how far it carries. I mean, I've heard it at my house and gone, and you're right next to the camp and you don't hear it there, but you hear it at my house, and I'm 3/4 of a mile away in a straight line,
I
so.
have 2 schools right by me, and there's wooded lots
Yeah.
in between us. And I can tell you the announcements for the middle schools and elementary schools in the morning and the evening. We say the pledge twice a day. My dogs look at me like, it's the pledge.
Oh, no, we get the same thing a little bit
So
from
I just-
Pine Ridge if the door to.
I wanted us-
But it's different.
Yeah.
I wanted us to just sort of talk about that. It truly is not that we're ignoring these requests for a noise ordinance, they just don't work. And I asked the supervisors of these towns.
Yeah.
I will tell you, one of those towns has a noise ordinance. Trial coming up very soon.
Really?
Yes,
Wow.
Say that again?
one of these towns has a noise ordinance.
Is
trial
that,
coming
is
up
that
very
for
soon.
that,
It's a neighbor who just likes to,
oh,
he doesn't like his neighbors.
well, but that may be a first because it's rare that that was actually cited.
Yep.
But again, was it actually measured or was it just?
Well,
it's
I
too-
can't
yeah.
really talk about it.
Okay, understood. Never mind. Never mind. So, anyway, I just wanted to have that.
No, but I
dialogue.
just, that's where I came up with my idea the last time after we had discussed this prior, and that's what made me think of it, was going camping. But you're right, then you're on private property.
Yep.
And they have the right to.
They
do
have
what
their
they
own
want.
set of
I mean,
rules that
it's
they can
almost-
enforce.
Because I agree, and it's almost like if we could do like a marketing campaign, raising awareness of your neighbors and how to
I
deal
don't
with
know.
issues.
PSA, Mike. You
Yeah,
did-
some
you
people
did-
just don't care.
A
you
booth
did
at
great with
the
the slow moving
Heritage.
vehicles.
Yeah, that was
There you
good.
go. Yeah.
Slow moving vehicles are bad right now.
Yeah.
People still farm, I mean, tractor farm,
Yeah.
big.
What I'd like to outlaw is passing people in the shoulders.
Oh, on the right, on the right,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't grow up here and every time,
it scares them.
yeah.
Oh, that doesn't
Right
happen
at
other
you.
places? No.
Good, nice wide
She's
shoulders
like,
here.
doesn't, she's
I got
Aaron's
places
from
to be.
Oklahoma. she
I
just
know.
doesn't
She's from
happen
a
in
flatter
Oklahoma.
state.
Yeah, yeah.
She's from a, where they can see. you
But I'm
can see.
terrified that there's gonna be a tractor driving or someone walking
Or bike.
or bicycle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree with you.
Oh, well, that's part of why we got that request. It was a situation where a tractor driver was turning to the left, had properly done hand signals, and a person tried to pass them in a convertible. And what was relayed to me was he was looking into the convertible as they almost
Collided.
he almost had to jump off the tractor. That's how close they were.
Yeah,
Wow.
they were, it was
Yeah,
pretty bad.
and obviously tractor higher convertible here.
Yeah.
He was
Just to jump into the convertible.
just
Yeah.
about,
Was it top
that's
down?
about what
It's not-
happened. Yeah, it was.
it's not fun driving on the road.
Yeah,
No,
so,
on a
and
tractor
they
when
don't
there's
even-
those
but
types
that
of
was
drivers.
the instance that was sort of the last straw of this happening,
Yeah.
so.
With several along that space,
Yeah,
yes.
so,
Makes sense.
Okay, next, we motion to enter into executive session at 8:57 PM. Thank you to the members of the public who stuck it out. Apologize, I need to ask you to leave. So do I have
Good
that
night.
motion? Thank you.
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Good, good.
Okay, Kate?
I can go too, right?
Yeah.
Hey, could you go sit in your car? We'll wave you and say, can I tell the time we came out?
I forgot, I usually am really good about getting it to her the next day, and I just forgot.
When I saw the,
And I have to admit, I giggled when I saw the minutes because I went, I never sent it to Kate. And that's
Are
her
we-
little quiet way of saying, Mike, you didn't send me the
July,
time.
I had Kristen
So-
read them and she didn't even pick up on it, because I have other people read it, because I'll just read what I think is there.
yeah, yeah.
Maybe we
She
should
didn't
turn
say
off the
nothing.
camera.
Yes.
Okay.
Did you vote on